up, y'all? It's Yungavelle here. I'm here in ATL with my best bro, Darius.
Mr. Love Yourself and Be Kind on Instagram, because we are the love of the divine. We must love ourselves and be kind every single day.
Yes, sir.
Inside.
That's a fact. So today, we're going to be talking about, lately him and I have been having like these real deep builds about what he called the 90-10. 90%, 10%. So I'll let you build on it a little bit.
Absolutely. So, of course, this is information that comes through me from everything that I learned. So I don't take claim to it, but I definitely am humbled to be able to realize the information and find the secret in between all the lines, you know. So yeah, lately we've just been reading a lot of books lately. Your Wish is Your Command, listening to the audios, Asking It Is Given by Abraham Hicks. I'm a big Kevin Trudeau fan. A lot of the information from my master teacher, Sri Master Gano Grills, all ties into this. And what's the Napoleon Hill book?
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. He talks about the secret in Think and Grow Rich. And in between the lines is where the secret lies. And in between and within ourselves is where the secret lies. So with the 90-10, we have different phrases that we use, different like kind of like metaphors that we use to get a better understanding of ourselves and the world around us. And all of our elders always had little sayings and different things like that. So with the 90-10, you have 90%. It's something called a training index scale. Training balance scale, where you have 90% thought, emotions, feeling.
He really said it's really 99.9%.
Really, because if you look at the matter,
yeah,
matter is 99.9% empty space.
Right.
And 0.0 whatever percent actual matter, you know, which we're gonna pick that apart.
Yeah.
So you have the 90%, 99% thought, emotion, and then you have 10% that's actual, or 1% that's actual. 0.1%. That's actual, the physical world, which is your action, the things you put into place,
the how,
the movement, the how. All that is in the 10. That's like 0.0 to 10%, because we're dealing with so much space. That percentage is just for an understanding of what we are, and then you have 90%, and this is a little challenging for a lot of people to understand, but 90% of what we believe are facts are actually opinion, and the reason for that is most of what people believe are facts are actually their personal opinion. Yeah. Actually their personal opinion. And if you can understand that there's 90% space and there's 90% matter, or we're going to say 90 and 10. 90% space and 10% matter. You can understand that because there's so much space, because of that 90% space, that's why most of what we believe is actually true, is actually our opinion. Because that's the space for creation. You understand? So if I believe that this rock is just a rock, and this dirt is just dirt, and this tree is just tree, that's what it is. But if I believe that this tree can become a house, that's what it is. You understand? So somebody's truth is this tree is just a tree. That could be somebody's truth, and it's a fact. You look at the tree, and it's just a tree. But if somebody that had the mind to perceive beyond the 10%, because within the 10% again is a 90%.
It's gonna funnel in. So basically, that 90% is going to determine what's possible for you.
Right.
So let's take it a little deeper about why that is. So basically, we're talking about the fact that there's this little quote: "A man becomes what he thinks about most of the time." So this 90% is a constant transmission that people are putting out all the time, you know, through your thoughts, through your feelings, through your attitudes. And that is unseen. It's mostly unseen. It's 90% is invisible, but so it's 90%.
To let it make a little bit more sense and to bring it into our physical realization. If you look out into the room that you're sitting in right now, if you look around the room you're sitting in, you can literally see 90% space. And you start to realize that the 10% is only the matter that your eyes can touch.
This is mostly empty space.
And that is what allows, right? That's what allows our words to travel. So we're saying these words, and it's traveling through the camera. Now you're receiving it. It only can happen in that space. So that's 90% space, and that's why we say the 90% is also our thoughts, emotions, because the thoughts and the emotions and the feeling, that travels through the empty space. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like the untouchable, unseen thing that travels through the empty space, and then it forms that 10% into whatever we desire, the tree into a house. Mm-hmm. So now it's just not that truth that I had now becomes a belief and an opinion, because now I'm going to chop this tree up and form it into a home. And now that home is the truth, and it becomes that 10%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that, it's interesting because that 90% is the same energy that is used that creates worlds. Mm-hmm. That energy that we're focusing, that we use to put out either through our thoughts or our emotions, however we're feeling, this is our constant transmission. So we're talking about creating your reality, essentially. This is what we're talking about. This is what this video is about, and this is actually what we were talking, this is what Napoleon Hill was talking about in his book, where he was like, at some point in this book, it's going to hit you what I'm talking about. It might hit you in the beginning, it might hit you in the end. But I think that this is what he was talking about, is that the same energy you're using to put out all your stuff is the same energy that creates worlds. So it's interesting, because what you put out is what you get back. We all know this. So we're constantly doing this. And like he said, truth is relative, basically. 99% of truth is opinions.
And there's, because that's, someone can argue that, right? And so there's an intrinsic truth. Gravity, well, we're in a world where people say the earth is flat, so people can argue gravity as well. But gravity, let's speak of gravity as a truth. Mm-hmm. Gravity is a truth. If I pick something up, it drops. If I jump off a building, I'm going to drop. If I do that right now, that's what's going to happen. But then you also have this law of lift that allows planes to fly. Supersedes the law of gravity.
It supersedes a law.
And it's because man could look at the bird and see the bird flying and think, if a bird can fly, how can we achieve this height that our physical body, if I flap my arm, my physical body, I'm not about to take off. But how can I achieve this height that the bird is doing, looking at my material world, which is that 10% again? So I'm thinking in that 90% because my mind is expansive. You can't touch it, even though thoughts are a material thing, which is the paradox. I can't touch my thoughts, but they can fill up the space in my mind. So I'm thinking in that space, and I'm looking at the material world around me. And we have to imagine, someone had to imagine beyond what they can see physically.
Beyond the 10%.
Beyond that, to put these different things together in a way that it makes a plane that can defy gravity.
You have to look past what you can see around you, because there are laws that supersede what you can see. And we are a part of that, those laws. We are a part of this energy. We're just an extension of it. So we have a great gift that not a lot of people know about. We have the power to shape our world in whatever way that we want. But, just as Abraham was saying, this flow is natural. This natural flow of abundance, of whatever you want, of life, of fullness. It's natural, and it's always coming to us. It's always coming to us until we do something to restrict it. And that comes in the form of resistance, doubts and fears.
Funny thing, I just realized even the resistance is the creating. We give out resistance and it comes back as resistance. Yep. So it's like all this, it's nothing, like my brother was saying, it's a natural thing that's already happening. So the very special thing I think about this gift is that it's nothing that we have to do per se, because it's something that we're already doing. So when we say we can create the reality, create whatever reality you desire, is actually that we are creating the reality we desire according to the thoughts that is traveling through the space. So that 90% space that we're creating in our mind is creating the outside reality around us, and we're on this linear time scale. So we have the experience of planting the seed and the seed sprouting roots in the ground and then coming up and making a tree.
This is why impatience is looked at as a form of resistance. And the more you put that out, you're going to get more of those things that set up that paradigm for you. And then you're going to believe, because what happens is you put it out and then you'll get it back. And then you'll say, oh, okay, yeah, this is true now.
This is my reality.
Now, this is my reality. I got a confirmation. And then the more you do that, it becomes a belief. So it's an even more ingrained program form of resistance that you're going to have to, you might be subconsciously putting that out while you're like, I'm thinking this the right way. Why am I not getting this? Because you have a deeper subconscious pattern that you've been thinking about for a longer period of time. If you think about, the longer you think about something, the stronger its attractive pull to you. So if you've been doubting something your whole life based on your childhood or whatever the case may be, and you just come to this knowledge and you practice it for a couple months, and you're like, I'm not rich yet. This is not true. This is not real for me. I'm going to give up. You have deeper programs that you might have to work on, and it really is just a form of resistance. You know?
And I think that's what Kevin Trudeau was talking about, like how people kind of missed when people read The Secret, and a lot of people weren't successful after they read The Secret and watched the movie. They were missing a key factor that was left out, and that key factor is like we're already manifesting the life we desire, right? And change is the only constant that we're experiencing. So we look at our world, we look at our everyday routine, and we feel like things are not changing. But the truth is, things are changing, but they're changing to more of what you are choosing to experience, more of what we continue to experience based off our beliefs and our past and our thought patterns. So in order for the change to be apparent, he's like, if you want things to change in your life, you have to change the things in your life. You have to change the things that we're doing, change the way that we're thinking on a daily basis. And it's a most beautiful, and I also say it's a challenging thing, because when you're experiencing a particular reality of yours, for instance, like poverty, when you're experiencing that reality, your mind thinks poverty. That's what the mind is thinking. And the mind now has to do something where, again, it looks at the tree, we can call the tree poverty, and says, you know what? Even though I can only see this tree and this poverty, I know that has a possibility of becoming a house. I know that from whatever, my bank account looking negative, from, got to work every day, from having to get up, I know that even though I'm looking at that tree, that I can still build a house out of this. That I can take whatever circumstances and situations that are happening to me in my life, and I can literally think, because how did the tree become a house? Somebody had to think that up.
Right.
It had to start in somebody's mind. Somebody had to formulate the possibility of taking wood and molding it to a point where you can live inside of it. Somebody had to think that up, and that's our life. We have to mold our life and our current circumstances and situations into a life that we desire. But it takes thinking. It takes a willing and desiring and then receiving, because the space and the matter and the thoughts that we put in, now we have to receive the impulses of the universe. So somebody had to think, oh, you know what, I have to shelter myself. Just the thought of I have to shelter myself allow the mind to look at the current circumstances, situation. So the desire for shelter allowed the mind to look at the current circumstances, situation, and formulate from what we have. And it was nothing if you think about it. That's really important for us to remember, that the tree was nothing. I mean, the tree is everything, but it's not a house. It was nothing, and we're able to formulate from that tree what we desire.
So building on what he just said, I think this is, by the way, this is the Young Prince Amor.
Say hello, Amor, to the people.
This is the first of many conscious builds he's going to be a part of.
He just woke up out of his sleep.
So a great point that what I wanted to add is, you see what's around you, and then you want to desire more. This is not saying that you need to discount or kind of not be present for what is, because there's a kind of sweet spot that you're going to have to learn how to find, where you're engaged in where you are, but you also are in that space of what you desire to happen. And since we're talking about 90% transmission, the sweet spot for you to be in is to assume that space in which it's already happened. So you hear the Secret built upon this a little bit, but like we said earlier, it kind of missed certain key points. So when you're dealing with the 10%, it's not to say that, okay, this is just, I want to get away from this. Or like, I'm not even present, I'm just all in my head. Like, I'm not even here. You got to be present because, again, that's a conversation that you're having vibrationally. So you have to accept where you are, even if it's unwanted circumstances. You have to accept where you are, but keep in mind of the space that you're intending to create. And I just wanted to build on when you were talking about the seed, and it has to take time. It reminds me of the bamboo, where the seed is in the ground for years. You're not gonna dig up the soil every 5 seconds to see if it's growing.
Facts.
You let the seed grow. It might take a long time, however long it may take. The bamboo might take 2 years to sprout, but then within 2 weeks it sprouts 60 feet. So that patient, if you were to be impatient and rip that seed out constantly, you're just prolonging the process.
Keep checking on the seed.
Yeah, you're just prolonging the process.
All it needs is watering. It needs some nurturing.
Yeah.
And then the fertile soil of our mind.
And the knowingness that it's going to happen.
That's a nurturing.
That's cute. That's key. It's going to happen.
And that's the fertileness of the soil.
Right.
The fertility of the soil is that knowingness.
Yes.
And I want to expand on what you're saying, because if we look at this table, and when science breaks down this table, they find 99% space. So that gives us the understanding that even in our material life, even in that 10%, and this is the paradox, even in that 10%, and again, just to give you the image of it, if you look around your room right now, and you look around your space, and look at the walls and all the different things you have in your home and your space, you start to realize that the things that you can see and your eyes can touch is only 10%. And the space around it is that 90% that allows you to see the things that you can touch. Now, inside all these things that we can touch is actually more empty space. And that science proves that. That's not my words. Science proves that. So when we realize that, that's how we go about, and The Secret to Success talks about this, how you have to go about your life and your moment and your now in a particular way. Like T was saying, you can't ignore your current, it's not to ignore your current circumstances, but actually learn to engage in our current circumstances in a way that lets us understand that through this current circumstance is how I'm going to manifest everything I desire, because we have to stay present.
That's the most fertile soil.
Exactly, and that's how patience is kind of an enemy of manifestation. You know, and I say that loosely, but patience is an enemy of manifestation, because when we become impatient, we pull the seed out of the ground before it can actually start to sprout.
You mean impatient?
Impatient, yeah. Impatience, excuse me. We pull the seed out of the ground before it actually starts to sprout. And that's us taking our present moment and not appreciating it, because there's always gratitude where we're at.
Right.
No matter what our current circumstances, you can be grateful for even if we're just grateful for being able to sleep in the dirt. Right. At least we're not in the mud, as Kevin Trudeau says.
So this leads to, this is a perfect segue for the next point about how do I know when I'm aligned with that desire, based on where I am. A key thing is, and one of the most simple things is, how are you feeling? Your feeling is what Kevin and what Abraham call your emotional set point. That's your indicator of where you are in relation to your desire. So if you feel, how do you feel? So an easy thing that they say is feel good now. You know, you do certain things to feel good now, because essentially that vibration is going to attract more things to make you feel good now. So there are a whole bunch of things that are recommended that you could probably look up on your own when we're talking about like health and, you know, removing of electromagnetic frequencies out of your space. But the key point is your emotions are going to be your indicator of whether you're in a state of allowing or you're in a state of resistance. So you find yourself thinking about your desire, but you feel a little tight, there's some resistance there. Because you for some reason, there's a pattern within you that is resisting that whatever you want to come. So that's something that you're going to have to come and deal with. You're going to have to go internally and deal with, or you can just simply feel good now and you keep your transmission general. So the process of manifestation is not that difficult. You identify what you want clearly. You ask, so this is your asking. You ask what you want. Then the given part is not up to you. That's the universe, God, whatever you want to deal with, whatever you want to call. That's not your part. So you ask, and it's going to be given. But the key point, which is what we were just talking about, that's on us, is we have to open ourselves up to receive.
It, yeah.
We have to be receptive.
Receptivity.
And that resistance, that impatience is us not being receptive. So we're not going to receive that. Mm-hmm. So that's why your emotional indicators and feeling good now are open up that receptivity. Because like you said, gratitude is a state of reception. Mm-hmm. Gratitude is a state of, I have received something and I'm happy for it. So you can simply feel good now in a state of gratitude, and that might be all you need, depending on how big or small your desire is.
And the interesting thing is, to build upon that, it's like we have things that we write down that we desire. And we have to get those things that we desire. We have to take those things and replace what we believed and what we believe is true with those things we desire. Because I just realized when we were talking that we're actually receiving what we are. So I'm actually receiving, for example, if I'm poor, I'm actually receiving more poverty on a daily basis based on what I believe about myself and my reality. Based on what I say, I'm broke, I ain't got no money right now. Whatever I'm saying, I'm actually receiving what I am. So when I write things down, I want to receive a house, some land. I want to have $10,000 a month in my bank account. In order for me to receive that, I have to take that and the thoughts and beliefs that are associated with those vibrations. And I have to take that and replace, because, as they say, you can't remove a negative thought. You can only replace it. Mm-hmm. So if I try to remove my thought of me being poor, it's going to be a futile thing, because in the trying to remove it, I'm actually still focusing on it. Mm-hmm. And you can't remove something that you're focusing on. So we have to take the vibrations and the thoughts and the beliefs associated with the things that we desire and the feelings that are associated. What does it feel like when I have a new house and I have a big house and I'm enjoying it, my family is there, my son is running around and he has his room and he's playing and we get to enjoy people coming over. What does that feel like? I have to take those feelings and replace the feelings of I don't got it, whatever those feelings are that are bringing me more of I don't got it. I have to take the feelings of I got it and replace those feelings. And then I have to be receptive to those feelings coming in. And that's the challenge that we have, that we're overcoming, is being receptive to feelings, thoughts, beliefs, and physical material things that are different to the things that we have been receptive to for so many years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, that just goes back to, what you've been thinking about for a long enough time is basically the story you've been telling yourself, and that's what's going to keep coming until you change your story. So that's always going to be on you. So I think we touched on everything that we wanted to share. Thank you guys for tuning in. You already know the deal. If you got something from this video, make sure to share, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to put these Instagram in the comments so you can check them out. And until next time, as we always say, greater perspective can lead to a greater connection. Peace.